Welcome to the Daily Current Affairs of CivicCentre IAS, where we try to discuss the important articles from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB from the UPSC CSC prelims perspective. Displayed are the list of articles which we are going to discuss for today. The first article of the day says that the National Human Rights Commission has not had a full-time chairperson since June and has only one member to fill 5 positions. So the human rights groups are warning that the delay in filling the vacant post will hurt India's global reputation. In this context, let us talk about NHRC and then about the Global Alliance for National Human Rights Institutions. Firstly, talking about NHRC, see, the National Human Rights Commission, in short called the NHRC, was established on 12th October of 1993. Notably, the statute under which it was established is the Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993 as amended by the Protection of Human Rights Amendment Act of 2006. Know that it is in conformity with the Paris Principles adopted at the first international workshop on national institutions for the promotion and protection of human rights held in Paris in October 1991. Then, what about its composition? See, the commission consists of a chairperson, 5 full-time members and 7 deemed members. Significantly, the chairman is a former Chief Justice of India or a Supreme Court judge. Then, moving on to talk about the appointment and tenure, see, the chairman and the members appointed by the president on the recommendations of a 6-member committee. Furthermore, the committee consists of the Prime Minister, the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, leaders of the opposition in both the Houses of Parliament and the Union Home Minister. Know that the chairman and the members hold office for a term of 3 years or until they reach the age of 70. And notably, the chairperson and the members are eligible for reappointment. Then moving on to talk about the Global Alliance of National Human Rights Institutions, in short called the GANHRI. See, the GANHRI is an organization affiliated to the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. It was formerly known as the International Coordinating Committee of National Institutions for the Promotion and Protection of Human Rights. Then, talking about its establishment, see, it was established in Tunisia in December 13th of 1993. Know that the GANHRI represents 120 NHRIs around the world. Significantly, India is also a member of GANHRI. Furthermore, know that the secretariat is situated in Geneva of Switzerland. Then what about its functioning? See, it is a global network of national human rights institutions that works to promote and protect human rights. Then it is responsible for reviewing and accrediting these institutions in compliance with the Paris Principles every 5 years. Thirdly, it acts through its subcommittee on accreditation, which categorizes the member NHRIs into 2 groups, Group A and Group B. Lastly, without accreditation from Geneva-based Global Alliance on National Human Rights Institutions, NHRIs cannot represent the respective countries or vote at the UN Human Rights Council. The second article of the day says that the Rural Development Minister on Friday announced the launch of PradhanMantriAwasYojana's next phase, which will begin with Prime Minister Narendra Modi distributing sanction letters to 20,000 beneficiaries in election-bound Jharkhand on September 15th. So, under the new phase, 2 crore houses will be constructed in rural areas and 1 crore in urban areas. In this context, let us talk about PradhanMantriAwasYojana. See, the PradhanMantriAwasYojana is a flagship house credit linked subsidy scheme launched by the Government of India in 2015 to provide affordable housing to economically weaker sections and lower income groups of the country. Furthermore, the scheme has 2 components: PradhanMantriAwasYojana Urban for the urban poor and PradhanMantriAwasYojana Gramin and Rural for the rural poor. Firstly, talking about the PradhanMantriAwasYojana Gramin, see, to address the gaps in the rural housing program and in the view of government's commitment to provide housing for all by the scheme 2024, Indira Awas Yojana has been restructured into PradhanMantriAwasYojana Gramin with effect from 1st April of 2016. Significantly, the PMAY aims at providing a Pakka house with basic amenities to all houseless householders and those households living in Kacha and dilapidated house by 2024. Know that the beneficiaries are identified using the socio-economic and caste census of 2011. Now, if we look at its features, firstly, a financial assistance of 1.2 lakh rupees in plain areas and 1.3 lakh rupees in hilly, difficult and integrated action plan areas is given under it. Secondly, it encourages convergence with other schemes like Swachh Bharat Mission for toilet construction and MGNREGA for wage employment. Notably, in PradhanMantriAwasYojana Gramin, program implementation and monitoring is to be carried out through an end-to-end e-governance model using Awasoft and Awas app. Remember that the nodal ministry for it is the Ministry of Rural Development. Then moving on to talk about PMAY Urban. See, in pursuance of government's vision to facilitating housing for all, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs of the Government of India is implementing the PradhanMantriAwasYojana Urban Housing for All mission since 25th June of 2015. Know that the beneficiaries are economically weaker section, low income group and middle income groups. Furthermore, there are 4 subsidy schemes under it, which are Credit Linked Subsidy Scheme, In Situ Slum Redevelopment, Affordable Housing in Partnership, and lastly, Beneficiary-led Construction. Notably, the mission is implemented as a centrally sponsored scheme, except the CLSS vertical of the PMAYU, which is implemented as a central sector scheme. Lastly, remember that it is implemented by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. The third article of the day says that the Supreme Court Judge Justice Ujjal Bhuyan, in his separate opinion, allowing bail to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal on Friday, upheld the right of an accused to remain silent during interrogation. In this context, let us talk about the relevant aspects. See, the Article 20 is about protection in respect of the conviction for offences. So, it grants a protection against the arbitrary and excessive punishment to an accused person, whether citizen or foreigner or legal person like a company or a corporation. Notably, it contains 3 provisions in that direction: no ex post facto law, no double jeopardy, and no self-incrimination. Moving on to talk about the right to silence. See, the right to silence is a fundamental principle of the common law system that protects individuals from self-incrimination. Furthermore, the right to silence emanates from the Article 20, Clause 3 of the Indian Constitution, which states that no one can be compelled to be a witness against himself. Know that this provision contains the following ingredients. Firstly, the right to remain silent or against self-incrimination is available to the accused. Secondly, the right immunes a person from being a witness against himself. And lastly, it provides protection against such force which would result in him giving evidence against himself. The next article says that JUTE production is expected to drop by 20% this financial year, according to the Shashi Bhushan Singh, who is the secretary of the National JUTE Board. In this context, let us talk about JUTE and relevant aspects. See, the jute is a natural vegetable fiber under the category of bast fibers like flax, hemp, kenaf and rami. Then what are the favorable conditions for its growth? Firstly, the temperature required is between 25 to 35 degrees Celsius. Secondly, the rainfall needed is around 150 to 250 centimeters. And lastly, well-drained alluvial soil is required. Then moving on to talk about its production. See, India is the largest producer of jute, followed by Bangladesh and China. However, in terms of agri-agent trade, Bangladesh takes the lead, accounting for 3/4 of the global jute exports in comparison to India's 7%. Notably, it is mainly concentrated in eastern India because of the rich alluvial soil of the Ganga-Brahmaputra delta. So, the major jute producing states include West Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, Assam, Andhra Pradesh, Meghalaya and Tripura. If you have to look at some of the initiatives, see, the Golden Fiber Revolution and the Technology Mission on Jute and Mesta are 2 of the government initiatives to boost the juice production in India. Then there is something called the Jute Packaging Materials Act of 1987. So the Act provides for the compulsory use of jute packaging material in the supply and distribution of certain commodities in the interest of the production of raw jute and jute packing material and of the persons engaged in production thereof and for the matters connected therewith. Next, the jute geotextiles, which can be applied in many fields like civil engineering, soil erosion control, road pavement construction and protection of river banks. Lastly, we have Jute Smart, which is an e-government initiative that provides an integrated platform for the procurement of sacking by the government agencies. The next article says that the Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that the Port Blair, which is the capital city of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, will be renamed Sri Vijaya Puram to free the nation from the colonial imprints. In this context, let us talk about the relevant aspects. See, the Andaman and Nicobar group of islands are a group of islands of India located in the Bay of Bengal. Furthermore, these islands are divided into three major subgroups, which are North Andaman, Middle Andaman, and South Andaman. Then moving on to talk about Port Blair, see, the capital city of Andaman and Nicobar Islands is the Port Blair located in the South Andaman. Know that the city of Port Blair is the entry point of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Then looking back at its history, see, it was named after Archibald Blair, who is a naval surveyor and lieutenant in the Bombay Marine. So the Blair was the first officer to carry out a thorough survey of the Andaman Islands. Notably, Port Blair served as the headquarters of the Azad Hind government under Subhash Chandra Bose. Then what was the Port Blair's connection with the Imperial Cholas and Sri Vijaya? See, some historical records suggest that the Andaman Islands were used as a strategic naval base by the 11th century Chola Emperor Rajendra I to carry out an attack on Sri Vijaya, which is in the present-day Indonesia. Significantly, as per an inscription found in Tanjavur dated to 1050 CE, the Cholas referred to the island as Manavakaram land, which possibly led to the modern name of the Nicobar under the British. The next article says that the National Green Tribunal's principal bench has directed all the states and union territories, except those in the National Capital Region, to fill the vacant posts in state pollution control boards and pollution control committees by the end of April 2025. In this context, let us talk about National Green Tribunal, in short called the NGT, and then about the state pollution control boards, in short called the SPCBs. See, the National Green Tribunal is a statutory body established under the National Green Tribunal Act of 2010. Significantly, its objective is to provide effective and expeditious disposal of cases related to environmental protection, conservation of forests and other natural resources, and the enforcement of legal rights pertaining to the environment. Notably, in general, the NGT flows from the right to a healthy environment as a fundamental aspect of the right to life under Article 21 of the Indian Constitution. Then what about its jurisdiction? See, the tribunal has jurisdiction over all civil cases involving substantial question relating to environment, including the enforcement of any legal right relating to environment. Then the National Green Tribunal exercises jurisdiction over cases related to various environmental laws, including the Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1974, the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act of 1981, the Environmental Protection Act of 1986, the Forest Conservation Act of 1980, and the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. Significantly, the tribunal shall not be bound by the procedure laid down under the Code of Civil Procedure of 1908, but shall be guided by the principles of natural justice. Know that the National Green Tribunal is headed by a chairperson who is a retired judge of the Supreme Court of India. Then, talking about the appointment of the members of NGT, see, the chairperson is appointed by the central government in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. Then the judicial members and the expert members are appointed by a selection committee that shall be formed by the central government for this purpose. Next, moving on to talk about the state pollution control boards. See, the State Pollution Control Board is a statutory authority in India that enforces the environmental laws and regulations in a state. Then looking at its functions, see, the SPCB monitors air and water quality. Secondly, the SPCB sets environmental standards. Thirdly, it ensures compliance through regular inspections and monitoring of industrial and other activities. Fourthly, the SPCB conducts research on environmental issues. Then it engages in public education and awareness campaigns. Furthermore, it works with the Central Pollution Control Board and other local bodies to maintain ecological balance and safeguard public health and environment. Lastly, there is Pollution Control Committee, which is a statutory authority that performs similar functions to SPCB. However, it belongs to the Union Territories. The next article in the Explain section of the Indian Express talks about the OpenAI O1. In this context, let us talk about it. See, the Microsoft-backed artificial intelligence startup OpenAI has announced new AI models that are set to offer improved reasoning and problem-solving abilities. Notably, it is the latest series of the large language models released by the OpenAI, currently comprising two models. The first one is O1 Preview and the second one is O1 Mini. Then what is the significance of it? See, the OpenAI claimed that both O1 and O1 Mini AI models can tackle complex tasks and resolve more challenging problems in science, coding, and maths than the previous models. But the biggest difference between O1 and the company's previous models is that it's advanced reasoning. Then what are the benefits of the OpenAI O1? Firstly, with the advanced reasoning capabilities of this model, it could answer complicated questions. For example, the OpenAI demo showcases how model can diagnose a disease when someone asks about their symptoms. Then the new model can handle data and different context scenarios better. For instance, it could predict the difference in the new tax laws can make in a customer's investment portfolio. The next article says that two NASA astronauts aboard of Boeing's Starliner will stay on the International Space Station for months because of a faulty propulsion system whose problems included helium leaks. In this context, let us talk about helium and other aspects. See, helium is inert in nature, which means it does not react with other substances or combust, and its atomic number is 2, making it the second lightest element after hydrogen. Furthermore, helium has a very low boiling point, allowing it to remain a gas even in super cold environments, which is an important feature because many rocket fuels are stored in that temperature range. Then talking about the use of helium in spacecraft, see, helium is used to pressurize fuel tanks, ensuring fuel flows to the rocket engines without interruption and for cooling systems. Significantly, as the fuel and oxidizer are burned in the rocket's engines, helium fills the resulting empty space in the tanks, maintaining the overall pressure inside. Because it is non-reactive, it can safely mingle with the tank's residual contents. Then what about its disadvantages? See, firstly, helium's small atomic size and low molecular weight means its atoms can escape through small gaps or seals in storage tanks and fuel systems. But because there is very little helium in the Earth's atmosphere, leaks can easily be detected, making the gas important for spotting potential faults in the rocket or spacecraft fuel systems. Furthermore, the frequency of helium leaks across the space-related systems, according to some engineers, have highlighted an industry-wide need for innovation in valve design and more precise valve tightening mechanisms. The last article says that the third edition of the INDUS-X summit concluded in the United States, marking a progress in the advancement of a joint defense innovation ecosystem in India and the United States. Furthermore, held on 9 to 10 September of 2024, the summit was a landmark event jointly organized by the US-India Strategic Partnership Forum and the Stanford University. So the iDEX and the Defense Innovation Unit ink memorandum of understanding to increase cooperation in defense innovation. In this context, let us talk about the INDUS-X, then the iDEX initiative. See, now talking about the INDUS-X, it is a US-India defense accelerator ecosystem. Know that it was launched in June 2023 during the state visit of Prime Minister of India to the United States. So the objective of it is to expand the strategic technology partnerships and defense industrial cooperation between the governments, businesses, and academic institutions in India and the United States. Now, talking about its significance, so INDUS-X will be a defense innovation bridge which will include joint challenges, joint innovation fund, academia engagement, industry startup connect, investment by private entities in defense projects, mentoring by experts and niche technology projects, etc. Notably, it will focus on advancing high-tech cooperation and fostering joint research, development, and production opportunities in the defense sector. Also, the initiative aims to explore possibilities for co-producing jet engines, long-range artillery, and infantry vehicles. Then, moving on to talk about iDEX, see, it stands for Innovations for Defense Excellence. See, it is a flagship scheme of the Ministry of Defense of Government of India, launched in the year 2018. Know that the objective of the scheme is to cultivate an innovation ecosystem in the defense and the aerospace sector by collaborating with startups, innovators, MSMEs, incubators, and academia. Furthermore, iDEX offers grants and support for the R&D with significant potential for the future adoption in Indian defense and aerospace. Notably, it is currently engaged with around 400 plus startups and MSMEs. Also recognized as a game changer in the defense ecosystem, iDEX has received the PM Award for Innovation in the defense sector. In today's video, we have totally talked about 9 articles from the Hindu, the Indian Express. We'll be back again with